Hello.
Howdy.
Week one's in the books.
Tis. We're
Week
rolling.
two's coming up. Tonight is the Dolphins Bills. Should be a good game. Let's quickly go back through kind of what we liked in week one and tell you how badly we did in week one. So, if you remember, Josh kind of just gave out three things he liked a little bit, didn't really rank them or anything. So the first one was the Packers. Now, I'm going to kind of, like you're either right or you're wrong. Like you can put it that way, or you can kind of analyze the game and say, like, how right or wrong were you really? So Packers and Eagles was back and forth the whole game. I think the Packers were leading quite a bit of the first half.
Yeah. They looked better. They looked like the better team, like initially, but it did not end that way.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Like that one, I feel like it could have gone either way. The Eagles came out on top, and now Jordan Love's injured for a month or something like that. So, I don't know. I can't say that was like a terrible pick or anything like that. The next one
was pretty evenly matched, to be honest.
Yeah, the Titans plus 3.5. They're up 17-0. So I mean, you can analyze that however you want, but I'm going to say that was the right side, and you can't expect the Titans to just absolutely blow it and like flip pick sixes. And so
maybe with Will Levis you can't. I mean, I don't think Will Levis is maybe he ends up being a great quarterback, but there's not a lot of evidence at this point to say that he would be. And they blocked a punt. Like, how many blocked punts for a touchdown do you get in a season?
Right. And the thing is, the Bears defense, I don't like, it's been 1 week, but from last year and what they showed, defense and special teams this week, like, I think they're going to be a top 5 unit probably in the NFL. So I don't know, like, make of it what you will. It's 1 week.
But Caleb Williams looked like a fucking ass. Like, yeah, he just looked really bad. I know it was his first game, but wow. Yeah. He just looked really poor.
Fewer than 500 yards, or no, what am I talking about? Fewer than 100 yards passing, I think is what it was.
Yeah, 94 yards, I think.
Just win, baby, right?
I mean, there was a touchdown that Keenan Allen dropped, which would have made him look better. And there were some passes, some intermediate and short passes that were very accurate. Those were the kinds of throws that I think frustrated us with Justin Fields, is he would often miss those short little out routes. And so it was nice to see him hit some of those, but the inaccuracy with those deep balls, it was frightening at times. He looked more than just jittery.
Yeah, it just seemed like, the preseason, whatever, he did well, and you're not facing the ones in the preseason. If you are, not much, and people aren't going to throw many curveballs at you because they don't want you to know what they're going to actually do. So you could tell the speed of the game was a little much to start with, and that's pretty much true for any rookie quarterback, no matter how good you are. Now it's just like, does he adjust, and can he like take that next step, basically?
Yeah.
And then how quickly, if he can. Yeah. So again, that one, I don't know, make of it what you will. And then the Rams Lions. So the Rams had, by the end of the first quarter, the Rams had 3 starting offensive linemen out. Yeah. One actually was out to start the game, or maybe even 2, and then they lost another tackle. Mm-hmm. So they had their second or third string left tackle, and I think their second string right tackle, something like that. Yeah. And they still had the Lions by the throat. They had the ball up 3, third down, and Stafford throws kind of like a timing. He was pressured a little bit, timing route to Kupp, and is just a little too far. And if they get that first down, I think the Rams win that game. But
it was a very close game. It went to overtime. They were very evenly matched teams. That same with the playoff game last year. It was a 1-point game. All 3 of these games were very close. Right. Very evenly matched teams, it felt like.
Could have definitely, all 3 of those could have gone the other way. I mean, that's right. Maybe that's just us making excuses, but I mean,
it is absolutely, Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it, I mean, it's also true.
Yeah.
So going to my picks. Yeah. So I did like a 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. So I hit my 1 3-star, which was the Cardinals, and I lost most of the rest of them. I was wrong.
Those looked really good.
So the Panthers are awful. Like, I don't even know what to think there. That spread was 4 and they lost by 104. So I don't know. Definitely the wrong side. I just don't understand it.
I mean, the Saints aren't going to put 40 points. And that feels like a huge aberration to me.
Yeah, and I didn't watch any of that game as I said I wouldn't. I just kept seeing the Saints getting 7 more points every
Yeah.
time I checked my fantasy.
Yeah.
And it was what did it was like 47.
47 points. They almost had 50.
I don't know what you do if you're the Panthers. Maybe just like kill the franchise. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough on that.
Mhm.
Got the Steelers right. That was a 1 star. They got down early and then they just kept kicking field goals. Didn't Boswell pick 6?
Yeah, they had 18 points. So did the fucking Niners.
Yeah. Moody. Okay, so Moody needed 34 points to beat me.
Yeah.
And I mean, which, as you know, that's basically impossible.
Yeah.
But he scored like 26. I'm like,
That
this goes to overtime in some weird way, and he kicked like 2 more long ones. I'm gonna lose. And a lot of people were up 20 points and lost their fantasy. I saw people posting stuff, so
it was crazy.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So got that right. I think the Steelers defense just kind of
it's always going to be
baffled
good.
the Falcons.
It's always going to be.
Justin Fields started that game because Russell Wilson's calf is still hurt. So be interesting to see if
no turnovers, no touchdowns. Like that feels like
it's like Pickett could have done that, right?
No, I think Pickett would have probably had an interception or a fumble or something.
So, I don't think Wilson's going to play this week. He seems like he's still hurt enough not to play. If Fields wins another game, like at what point is he just the starter?
Yeah, I mean, if they're into a 3-game winning streak, and right now they're the only team with a win in that division. So it's like if they're the division leaders at 2-1 or 3-0, how do you go? No, definitely Russell Wilson have the ball at this. It would be very strange to see that happen.
Right. So then the 3-star that I said I got right was the Cardinals. So the Cardinals controlled most of the first half. They might even have been ahead at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Bills started scoring every possession, and they went up by 10 or 14. It was a pretty good game. And then the Cardinals, DJ Dallas ran a kick back. It's nice to see that in today's NFL, someone returning a kick.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals had the ball down 6, and they were driving. They had a chance, and just, couldn't do it. They threw... So fourth down play was kind of like a fade to like the goal line, and it was close. Like he almost completed it. So a very good game. I think I was right on that one. Like the Cardinals kept it close. They had a chance. And if they were just a little more consistent, I mean, they had the Bills down. They just couldn't keep them down.
That's a scary game in the first half if you're a Bills fan.
Yeah, for sure. Titans, I was on the Titans too. We already talked about that. I also had the Chargers. They struggled for 3 quarters, and then they kind of pulled away and won by like 12 or something like that. So got that right. And then that was a 1-star. And then we already talked about the Rams. I had a 2-star on them. And I mean, they were down 14 at one point, but then they were up 3 with the ball.
Yeah.
And it took overtime to cover a 3.5-point spread. Yeah. So you go think what you want.
They look good. I think they looked like in week 1, they looked like playoff contenders. I think maybe there were some questions about what they would do this season. They looked like a competent, good playoff team within the NFC. Yeah, they proved some things, I think.
And the Lions Stadium is just so loud. Like, I don't know. Like I said, they're gonna, underachieve a little bit, win 9 games. A lot of people think they'll win double digits, but beating them at home is just not going to be easy.
Did you see some things I saw some things on Twitter that were crapping on the Lions because their color of the uniform matched too much the color of the end zone. And so they were like, it was when Stafford threw that pick because he couldn't differentiate the defender from the field. So really? There was like camo. Yeah. So that's like another bit of home field advantage if you could match your uniforms to the end zone color.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that play. It certainly seemed like, I don't know how he didn't see that guy. I mean, some quarterbacks maybe wouldn't, but Stafford doesn't make that mistake that much.
You feel like he wouldn't.
Right. And then the other two, the Commanders played tough on the Bucks a little bit. I didn't watch that game. I was kind of score watching. But I don't know. I don't think that was the right side. I think I was just wrong
Or
on that one.
touchdowns by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I know. I think
That's-
I need to pick him up. I had Herbert with 10 points, and then Mayfield sitting out there on the waiver wire with
Yeah.
29 points. I think I might have to
He looked
reevaluate.
good.
And then the Jets just ran into an absolute buzzsaw in the Niners. Like they scored a couple, but they had a couple turnovers and dropped balls, and you just can't do that on the road at the Niners. It just didn't work out for them. And
Nope.
I don't know. Has Rodgers ever beaten the Niners? If he has,
Like, no.
it's like he's like one in
Yeah.
forever against them, or maybe he hasn't even beat them. But it
No.
seems like he cannot beat that team.
Not in a game of consequence, Like, no. He
So-
had bad luck with that group.
Yeah.
West
so
Coast teams in general, it feels like. He had problems with the Seahawks, too.
overall, not a great week if you're following our picks.
No.
But I guess my 3-star was 1-0. I'll kind of hang
Yeah.
my hat on that.
Yeah.
And we'll move on. Overall, 3-5. For me, Josh 0-3, but I had a couple that were really bad, and I felt like all of his were tight games. Like could have gone either way.
Don't worry. I'll fuck it up more this week.
All right, let's do it. We got week
Yeah.
2, yeah, baby.
Do it.
Okay, tonight is the Bills at the Dolphins.
Mhm.
I believe the Bills swept the series last year.
Yeah.
I have the Bills by 1.5,
I have Miami giving 2.
and I believe you're right. We're very close. Let's do. Got to get this up. Woo! Figure out what's going on. It is. So it opened at Dolphins 1.5, and it is up to 2.5. You said 2.
I did.
All right. Josh said Dolphins.
Fins by 2 or
And it's
giving 2.
Dolphins minus 2.5.
Yeah.
All right, you're closer. What do you think?
I think this is I don't think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I'm just being honest, and I've clearly, given what happened last week, I'm probably wrong here. But this feels like the Bills game to win. At this point, this feels like the Bills division to win, maybe, given the performance. I mean, after 1 week, but I just like the Bills here, and I think this is Vegas telling us that they don't have a ton of confidence in the Dolphins at home.
All right, I'm gonna go opposite of that. So as you know, when I'm wrong, I usually tend to lean with what Vegas thought versus what I thought. So I thought the Bills would be favored by a little bit. They beat them twice last year. It felt to me like if this is a close game, like the Bills are just going to come out on top. But
Mhm.
giving the Dolphins the edge to me, kind of, I don't know. I feel like the Dolphins are going to win this game. I can't say that I trust like Tua more than Josh Allen down the stretch. So if it's close, not a strong opinion, but for some reason I just think the Dolphins are going to win.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the Bills really aren't as good as they have been because they don't have as many weapons. I also think they might. Both teams kind of started slow last week, but I think the Dolphins started slower, and I think it's going to be more of a point of emphasis to come out and get the lead and play better early and focus, whatever you want to say. So he thinks he likes the Bills. I like the Dolphins. So maybe we're just playing since we were both bad last week, one of us has to win, right?
That's right. Yeah. So now, at least this podcast is going to come out for the better. It just depends. We're just hedging our bets.
Yeah. So we'll give you what we like at the end. But we'll move on to the next game. We got 49ers at the Vikings. They actually played at the Vikings last year. That was Purdy banged up, but he still played, or I don't know. The Vikings somehow beat the Niners last year.
He looked good, man. Purdy, he looked good against the Jets.
Yeah, he did. They scored on 6 straight drives, and the Jets defense was supposed to be really good. They were really good against the run last year. They could not stop Mason.
I think they were missing some defensive linemen, if I'm not mistaken.
Reddick's holding out, but isn't he more of a pass rusher than a?
I think it was more than just that. I thought I heard they were down three of their starting linemen on the defense.
Well, there you go.
So
that would make a lot of sense.
It would make a lot of difference. But still, Brock Purdy, the fucker can pass the ball.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, we should have put the explicit disclaimer on this week's podcast. That's like the third F-bomb I've dropped.
That's
Sorry,
good.
don't listen in the car with your kids, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what this is. I mean, it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
Okay, Niners at Vikings. I have the Niners by 6.
I got them giving 5.5.
All right. Where are we at? It opened at 6 and it went to 5.5. Well, darn it.
Damn.
Okay, 49ers. I had it and then I lost it. All right, you nailed it.
Woo. Like, I'll be honest. I feel like if this game was in week 7 or 8, this spread would be even bigger. Like, I think this is a Vegas saying this is the better team. This is clearly the better team, but it's early in the season and shit can happen early in the season, but they're going to win and they're probably going to win big. They just didn't want to make it 10 at 2 weeks into the season. I think based on what the Niners did to the Jets, they just looked fucking fantastic. Shanahan at this point is just this great regular season coach. He's giving real early career Andy Reid vibes to me in that he was awesome, consistent for like a decade and never won the big game and had to go somewhere else to finally do it. I don't know that that's going to happen with Shanahan. I think he seems maybe to have found his quarterback, but this team just looks fucking great. And I think that's what line is saying. And that just Vegas is just too uncertain about early season uncertainty to make the line a little bigger. And then the Vikings, I think people don't believe in the Vikings, but geez, Sam Darnold looked pretty good too. So that would be something to watch. If Darnold is as good as he was last week, then this might be a little closer, but I still don't expect them to cover at home.
So it's certainly interesting. Darnold played for the Niners last year. So
Yeah.
how much do
the
Niners know about like his tendencies and
inside
whatnot?
baseball? Yeah.
He wasn't on the field a lot. He played probably the equivalent of maybe one full game, like in mop-up duty or whatever, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Yeah, he did look really good. I mean, with this line, the Vikings looked good against probably a bad team. The Giants probably aren't going to be very good, even though I kind of, I went out and said I thought they would win more games than people thought. Anyway, the Vikings looked good.
Yeah.
They're at home.
Yeah.
Being at home in the NFL can be a big thing, even if you're not a great team.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense that the 49ers are certainly the better team. You just don't get crazy with it because the Vikings are at home. So right. I think it's very fair, and I have no opinion on this. It's good to see my Vikings take care of business. We had friends over, and like we were watching, like the Bears was on, and we were watching the Bengals because my son's a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
And the Vikings were in control so much throughout the whole game that we rarely watched it. Like I knew that they were doing it right. If it would have gotten closer, I would have wanted to watch. Yeah. It's kind of nice to see. That's usually not how the Vikings roll.
No, and I would say that they looked very much better than the Bears. When it comes down to it, I think a lot of people had the Bears being better than them. I don't think so. I think the Bears are bottom dweller. We can get to them later, but the Vikings look really competent, and they, I think more than anything, they have the right coach, which is, as you've probably heard me say 1,000 times, we're like the thing you need. You need that in the QB, and you can do a lot of good things in the league.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Unless you have a strong opinion on that. I mean, it's just one of those that's like tough to predict sort of a thing, I would say. Okay, we got the Seahawks at the Patriots. And of course, like we all thought, both teams are 1-0, right?
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, who expected rabid competence out of the Patriots at this point? Nobody. They all thought Jerod Mayo would, I think, fall on his face, but guy looks like he knows how to coach a football team, which is excellent for the Pats.
Yeah. So I went Seahawks by 2.
Yeah, and I haven't given 5.
Josh went Seahawks by 5. It opened at 3, and it is 3.5. We were going to split that one.
Wow. Jeez, okay.
You said 5.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we're both off by 1.5. Josh got the first 2. The third one's a tie. So the Patriots, I mean, they played, I guess I didn't expect them to keep Burrow down that much. They had So Jasicki caught a touchdown and his foot was like barely out, or he was bobbling it just barely. So they called it back.
Mhm.
They also fumbled at like the half-yard line. So it was one of those like kind of the Bengals, I don't know, like couldn't catch a break. And then the Patriots do what is going to be their MO this whole year. It's like Brissett doesn't, he can play consistently. He's not going to wow you, but he's not going to turn the ball over. And then they're going to rely on defense and they're going to try to win games. I mean, that's basically what Belichick was trying to do too, but Mac Jones was not, he was just throwing it to the other team too much and fumbling. So I don't know, like the Patriots executed what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I think most Survivor leagues got blown up by that.
That was just inexplicable, the way that the Bengals lost. To me, they are supposed to be a good team. They've got what I would think most people would consider a top tier quarterback, a guy who knows how to get it done. They just didn't look prepared. They just didn't. Good teams, the really good teams don't need, every team needs breaks, but they don't need to rely on them to win, right? Like the idea of fairness shouldn't factor in when we're talking about solid, good Super Bowl contending teams, especially against teams like the Pats that were supposed to be crap. And that's not what we saw. So I think it'll be very interesting to see for both of these teams the trajectories they have in the season. But gosh, you have to be so happy if you're a Patriots fan. Like so
For sure.
happy.
I think I even said this within the last month of just like talking about the season that the Bengals have struggled in like week 1 and week 2, the last, like off and on the last, I don't know, 3-4 years. Like since Burrow's been there, they haven't played super well in week 1.
And he hasn't either, really. He has had early season, it seems like, let's say inconsistency, because I think he's too good a quarterback to have troubles. But yeah, inconsistency early in the season. It's like they're not sure quite what they're doing. They just don't have their prep just seems off, which is really odd for like a good team. So
and there's questions about the lingering finger issue or whatever, wrist issue, and then Jamar Chase was holding out, so it's like how focused is he?
Yeah, that's right.
In practice and whatnot, and he was late to a practice or whatever. Like, what was his stat line? I don't think he did much.
No,
I don't think he scored. So I don't know. Well, we're talking about the Bengals a little bit too much. We got the Seahawks, Pats.
Yeah,
I think that the Patriots at home, you get that half point, that 3.5. I think you're going to see a lot of what you saw out of the Patriots last week. Like they're going to try to control the game, just play good defense, take care of the ball. And I think, I don't know, at home, you get that 3.5. I just think the Patriots are going to be competitive again and they're going to keep it close. And it's not like, like Seahawks, it's not like they took care of Bo Nix at home, rookie quarterback on the road in what used to be a really tough environment. I don't know that Seattle is that tough of an environment.
No 12 anymore.
Yeah, not like it used to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Seahawks are just getting too much credit after 1 week.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like
the Patriots seem like the type of team that is competent, and so they're going to be around and hang around in enough games where they're going to win some games that are going to surprise you. Like the Bengals game, this feels like another game where the Seahawks are maybe a good but not great team, and if the Patriots can be a little better prepared than their competition, that they might come away with another victory. That's kind of what I feel like here.
Yeah. All right. So we both kind of like the Seahawks there. Let's move on. We got 16 games.
We gotta get through them all.
Takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this could be the toilet bowl of the week.
Yeah.
Giants at the Commanders. What a great NFC East matchup. When you have two just toilet bowl teams, you just say the home team's -3. So that's what I said.
And me too.
-3.
Same. Absolutely the same thing. I mean, Jaden Daniels, I thought his stat line wasn't terrific, but I think if you're a Washington fan, you probably have to be pretty happy with what he showed. as a rookie in his first game, scoring points, being dynamic on the field, maybe a little bit too reckless for your liking, given the sort of maybe some RG3 vibes, but I think you have to be happy. I don't like Dan Quinn as a coach. I think I was listening to the Ringer, one of Cousin Sal's podcasts, and he's like, don't hire a defensive coordinator in the modern NFL to be your head coach. I agree. Probably don't. But the Giants also look like trash. So
Yeah, you don't
that's
see
pretty-
the Super Bowl winning team have a defensive minded
when
head
was the
coach,
last time?
but you do see the Super Bowl winning team have a very good defense, but
And a
that
coordinator,
just
yeah.
means that they can delegate and get someone under
right.
them that can,
Yeah.
manage the defense.
You said it, dude. Delegation, right? Like knowing that you don't have to own the whole thing, but being competent and smart enough to identify the right person to own that large chunk. I think like Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are a really good example of that. Where Spags, who didn't make it as a head coach, but has amazing defensive coordinator capabilities and has won Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator in 2 different places. You just got to like that combo. And I think it's a model most teams should follow. Bears.
Yeah, and then Spagnuolo's had his chance as a head coach. I think he realizes it's just not like what he does best. And that's just scary because like Andy Reid and Spagnuolo for 15
Combo.
more years, it's like
Terrifying.
I mean, how many years are they going to miss the playoffs? Anyway, so we both said Commanders over the Giants by 3. It is Commanders by 1.5. It opened
That's
at
weird.
2.5. It's going
Yeah.
down. I don't know how you can trust either one of these teams until we get like 5 games into the season and see if either one of them is going to be like consistently competitive.
This is a weird line. This is a weird line. Why would it move from 3, which is sort of just like the home team gets the. They're giving a lot of love to the Giants. Like what?
Here's what I'll say. Like, it's very easy to be. Every layperson, I'll say, is way down on the Giants. They were terrible last year.
Layperson.
They were awful at home in week 1. Like everyone thinks that, and like maybe rightly so, that they're just gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right? Because they did suck last year and they sucked in week 1. Like, what's gonna get better? I think it's lower just because Daniels is a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
He ran 16 times last week.
Oh.
They said he can't do that. Obviously, we need to keep him healthy, and that's not our plan anyway. So I think it's more about how efficient and consistent can the Commanders be through a full game with a rookie quarterback versus, like how bad are the Giants. But, I don't know what you do with this. You can't. I don't know how you can trust either side, like I said, until these teams play for a month and you actually see who's improving or who's already mailed it in. So no strong opinion for me. We tie that one because we guessed the same thing. But typically, if teams are equal, you'd see the home team -3. It's only 1.5. Make of it what you will.
I just maybe that is just Daniel's doubt. That's why that line's dropping. But I feel like Washington is the go-to here.
All right. So I would lean the Giants. Josh leans Washington. I'm not going to tell you that. No. It's not going to be one of my picks of the week, but
don't ever place money based on anything that I fucking say. That's just the takeaway here.
All right. We got the Chargers at the Panthers.
Right.
I said Chargers by 10.
And I did Chargers by 3.5. Give them 3.5.
Whoa. And it is in between. And okay, it opened at 4.5 and it went up to 6. So Chargers -6. And you said 3.5. All right. I haven't won one yet this week. Josh has 3 wins and we tied twice. I'm very curious. We were so different than each other, and obviously it was right in between. But like, were you just not impressed by what the Chargers did, or what?
Yeah, I think that was it. And I also, as I was looking at my lines, I'm always very reticent. If you remember last season, like I was almost never going like 10, 14 points. And towards the, that really killed me in the latter half of the season. So you were nailing like teams at like 14, 7. I think there was a 17-point spread at some point. I think inherently don't want to go that high. And then I don't know. I didn't think the Chargers showed enough to have that big of a spread. And just the way Harbaugh seems to want to play, which is to grind it out and shove a running back down your throat all game, that doesn't lead to high scoring games typically anyway.
Yeah. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is another one. Like the Panthers and the Giants were the two worst teams in week 1 by far. And these lines that Vegas is throwing out there is them not overreacting to how bad a team was in 1 week. And that's why it's not as high as I thought it was. I mean, and like we talked about, like Chargers beat the Raiders at home and they beat them by double digits, but the game was very close for 3 quarters, if not into the 4th quarter, if I remember right. Like the Chargers didn't look great. So I don't know, like Chargers on the road, can the Panthers keep it around a touchdown? I guess it's fair, like depending how you look at it, but at the same time, based on week 1, like I don't know, like how do you not take the Chargers here? I'm not gonna give any recommendation on this because it's just, it's like I'm torn between those thought processes.
I mean, I don't think you'd pick the Panthers certainly to win this game, but like, could the Panthers kick 6 field goals and score 18 points? Like, probably, and then can Harbaugh run the ball enough where his team only puts up 20 points? Probably. So I don't know. It just seems like a weird game. I don't think we know enough about Harbaugh 2.0 in the NFL yet and this team to say. I think the only definitive thing is that the Panthers are probably just bad and probably still the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, if the Panthers are covering this, it's going to have to be like a 14-9 game or like a
12-15, something like that. Yeah.
17-13.
Yeah.
Like
I like 12. 17-13 sounds pretty good.
If the Panthers score 20 points, I'll just be amazed in this game. But
seems strange.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, the NFL gets weird. So, all right, let's move on. We got Saints at the Cowboys. The battle of 1-0 teams who controlled pretty much the entire game against their opponents.
Looked great, both teams.
I went Cowboys 9.5.
I got Cowboys given 7.
I might not win one this week. I think I actually was pretty close on a few coming down the stretch here, but Dallas opened at 6, and it is mostly 6. So you're closer again. Cowboys 6. Josh, winner.
I think so much of this line is the Saints, scoring 47 points when I think a lot of people didn't think they would maybe amass 47 points for their first 3 games of the season. And then, I mean, the Cowboys looked great. But I think this is more about the Saints. And again, early seasons, not wanting to get too crazy, still trying to feel these teams out. But this is, I think Vegas saying Cowboys clearly the better team at home. So by a touchdown. And then they may think that the Saints can kind of keep it competitive. I feel like it's the Cowboys game to lose. I feel like the Cowboys could be up by 20 by the end of the first quarter or going into the halftime. So we'll see.
Yeah. So the Saints blew out the Panthers. We don't know how bad the Panthers are, so we don't know how good the Saints are. Yeah. I think you could say, the Cowboys beat the Browns very handily on the road.
Yeah.
I just thought they might go high. It's Cowboys at home.
Yeah.
They tend to take care of not so good teams.
Yeah.
They just tend to win those games by 14 points. So that's why I went high. It's only 6.
Yeah.
I guess you give the Saints a little more credit because of what they did last week, and you just, I understand why it's lower. It just seems like one of those games where the Saints think they're good, and then they go to Dallas and they lose by a lot.
Yeah. Again, I think in week 6 or 7, this line's probably 9.5 is probably accurate.
Yeah, tough to say based on, it's very week to week.
Yep.
That's just my opinion on that. And again, like week 2, like you can't overreact. And I'm torn because like the Saints looked good against probably a bad team.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys are coming home and they usually take care of the Saints type of team in this spot. So I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that really. Maybe just trust the Cowboys at home if you have to.
Such a thing is possible.
Yeah. All right. Colts at the Packers. Packers, Jordan Love sprained MCL or something.
Yeah. So a 4-week injury.
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks.
At one point I saw like 3 to 6, but did they put him on injured reserve so they could free up a roster spot?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's still on the active roster.
Okay, so maybe they're hoping he recovers faster than normal or whatever. So obviously take that into account. So Colts at Packers. I went Colts by 5.5.
I got Colts given 2.
Okay, I think it's in between maybe Colts. Oh, I know my scroller isn't working. All right. Opened at 3 and it is 3. Colts -3. You got me again. I need to pretty much win the rest of them. All right, so this one, first of all, Malik Willis is starting this week, and he more than almost any quarterback looks like the NFL is way too hard for him. This is going to be a 3-star pick for me. Like the Colts, I don't know how the Packers without like defensive touchdowns or return touchdowns can stay in this game, just because Malik Willis has looked so incompetent like 90% of the time of being on the field. Even like when he came in and he had to throw the Hail Mary or try to, he wasn't even close to like loading up. Like he wasn't even, I don't know what he was doing. So I mean, I love the Colts here. Like the Colts played the Texans very tough, ended up losing. The Colts, I would say, probably are going to have a better than average defense. You throw that against a Malik Willis. I don't even know if I don't know who they have as their third string, but I don't think Malik Willis is going to finish the game because he's going to look that bad and they're going to go to the scrap heap. So that's my opinion to this.
I feel like this is where we find out what Mike LaFleur is made of, and can he coach up and can he scheme around the absence of the most important player on his team? One of the things that's surprising to me, given the Love injury, is how fucking great Anthony Richardson looked. Just like, wow.
That's interesting to
so
hear.
Why isn't this higher?
Yeah. I should have, like I said, we had people over and I was a little distracted, just conversation, whatnot.
Yeah.
I wish I would have watched. I don't think I saw a single play of this game. So that's interesting to hear you say that he played pretty well.
Well, I mean, just the statistics and like I kept, I didn't even look for it, but everybody said he had the best, pass of the week, right? I think then this is 2 points early season. They're at home. The fact that I went 2, but it's 3. I think that makes sense to me because they just don't know what they're going to get from both teams at this point. I mean, obviously, if Love is healthy, this is a very different line, right? It's Packers probably by 5.5 or 6, maybe by a touchdown.
Absolutely.
So
at least 4. Touchdown. Yeah.
So this line is just the ambiguity of absent quarterback and just Richardson still being kind of an unknown. Because other than that, I think you have a lot of confidence in what the infrastructure of the Colts, the coach, the team around the quarterback. So that's why I think this line probably makes sense. Just too much uncertainty.
All right, so I love the Colts. I think Josh is a little kind of doesn't know either way on that one.
No, I mean I think I like the Colts here. I think for sure, given the injury to Love.
All right, Malik Willis, wow us. Okay, let's keep going. We're almost halfway done. Browns at the Jags. I have the Jags by 3.5.
We're gonna tie here. I have the same.
All right, and I think we both nailed it. Woo! Open at 3. No, I guess it's open at 3 and it was 3.
Okay.
All right. So we are both off by a half a point. I still have yet to win one.
Battle of the losing team so far.
Yeah, the Jags looked good. They had the
Yeah.
lead for a lot of the game and ended up losing by a field goal, like a 50-yarder or 40 or 50-yarder as time expired, I think, to the Dolphins on the road. So they looked decent. The Browns, I don't think looked very good. Again, I didn't watch much, if any, of that game.
No.
So, like, I don't know. These two teams are like the same team in a way. They
Hot seat
have a
coaches.
quarterback that used to play better and now isn't playing that good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little maybe Lawrence never was super consistent. They both lost week one. They feel like they should be like playoff caliber teams, but they've just kind of not. I mean, the Browns made the playoffs last year, but they just have a very similar feel to them.
Regular season. Yeah.
Jags 3 at home. I mean, it's a fair line. We both almost nailed it, and it's 3. So
yeah, and it's not a very interesting game at this point. And I don't think any of these teams. Most interesting things about the Browns is that their quarterback is a raging pervert.
Yeah, more allegations on Deshaun Watson came out of something that happened, I think 4 years ago. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. It's just like at what point is it just a distraction where
right now
they paid
now is the time.
They paid him so much money.
They did. I know. It was an enormous contract at the time, and there was all kinds of garbage around him. It was a really stupid move. It was a kind of gross at the time. It's even worse now. I feel like they should just jettison him from the space lock and move on, but they're probably not going to do that.
So I mean, a lot of people are gonna maybe overreact to the Browns week one, but at the same time, like at some point, I think I said this a couple weeks ago. At some point, this could get dysfunctional if the Browns lose, like 4 of their first 5 or something like that. So some people might overreact and like the Jags, but can you trust the Browns? So this is another one of those I don't really know. Like we need more of a sample to really gauge these teams.
Don't love either of these teams. I mean, the way the Jags finished the season last year, I saw something on TikTok. I did not validate this, but that statistically he's almost identical through the first 50 games to Daniel Jones in terms of Lawrence, in terms of the number of touchdowns, interceptions, passing yards, completion rate. Like go down a list of all of the major stat categories for quarterbacks, and they're very, very similar through 50 games, which is obnoxious.
I would have thought Lawrence was a little bit better, but they both kind of had one year where they were above average.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's
move
go on. I think that was half the games.
Yep.
So we have half of them left. Okay. The Jets at the Titans. I have the Jets by 7.
I've got 3.5. 3.5.
I lose again. It's right on 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Take it away.
I just this is the Jets. They're on the road. I think it would be higher if this was obviously at home for the Jets. I think that Titans are a better team than what happened last week. I think that Will Levis interception was just inexcusable. It was the dumbest fucking thing. And I just, it would be staggering to me if he made a similar mistake. And so I think they're just a better team than what we saw. And I think the Jets are also probably a better team than what we saw. And that Rodgers can still throw the ball, even if he's maybe a little gun shy behind in the pocket and doesn't want to get hit. But he can just put the ball anywhere he wants it on the field. Yeah, I think that's what this line is. The uncertainty of the start of the season and the Jets' kind of poor performance, and then being on the road. Why we get a 3.5 line here?
Yeah. So I said Jets by 7. I just like the Titans could have beat the Bears on the road. They are at home. Jets are on the road again. I don't know. is this a little bit of jet lag coming back from San Fran because it was a Monday night game? Actually, that
Yeah.
makes a little sense.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how the Jets, why it's that low. Like, I don't know, maybe the Jets control the game and they just end up winning by 3. And so the Titans is the right side. I don't see how the Jets lose this game.
Yeah. I don't think people like their coach.
The Jets coach.
Yeah, I don't think they like him. I don't think there's a lot of trust in him to do the right thing in game, right? Give situation to situation, scenario to scenario. I don't think they feel his coaching literacy is where it needs to be. And so that means this is a team, because it's imperfect, that's going to be susceptible to bad teams. And then they're on the road. So I think that, and again, early in the season. So I think that's what you're seeing here in this line. And I don't think the Jets are going to lose this game because I don't think the Titans are very good. I think that if Vrabel was the Titans head coach, same scenario, everything else, I think the Titans might even be favored here.
Interesting. All right.
Maybe by just a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like Rodgers, I felt like did look good. The Niners defense is very good, so he wasn't able to do whatever he wanted, but he did still look like he had it. And I just think this is going to be one of those where he just throws for 3-4 touchdowns and the Jets take care of business, but a little weary just because it is so low. So I don't know. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Bucks at the Lions. Was this?
It's a great playoff matchup.
Yeah.
Another one. They have back-to-back week playoff matchups.
Must be nice.
Rematches. Yeah.
All right. Bucks at the Lions. Rematch from the playoffs last year. I had Lions by 8.
I have 6.5. Give it 6.5.
All right. It opened at 6.5 and it went to 7.5.
It did.
Yay. I was not as close to start with, but I get that one. Okay, Bucks beat the Commanders. We don't know how good the Commanders are going to be after 1 week. Obviously, no one does. The Lions got way ahead, and then the Rams were ahead, and then the Lions won by 6 in overtime. So no one's going to tell you the Bucks are a better team than the Lions.
No.
So it's at least 3 Lions, and then you put in the home field and you just start looking at it, and the Lions are probably a better team in every facet. Maybe the Bucks have a little bit better defense. So I don't know. I just felt it was around a touchdown and I just went a tick higher, and that's kind of where it's ending up. I don't know what to think about this. Both teams are 1-0. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions won by 3 touchdowns. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a field goal game.
Yeah,
and maybe the Bucks even win, even though it would be a tough road win. So,
well, if Baker throws 4 touchdowns again, like that's a win is certainly on the table, right?
Yeah, he's going to be on my fantasy team if he does that again.
Yeah.
No strong opinion from me on that one.
No, I think this would be a fun game to watch, right? I think the Bucks are a good team, and I think they're probably the best team in that division. I don't buy into the Saints given who they played week 1, and I do like Baker Mayfield. I do like him as a quarterback. If he's found a home there, I think that's awesome. I think this game is competitive. Again, I continue to be down on the Lions just because of history. So I think the Bucks keep it close, but I do think the Lions will win this game.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. It's a tough one. Like I think it could go either way. No strong opinion on that one. Okay, we got the Battle of the Raiders Ravens in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I have the Ravens by 8. I had the Lions by 8. I got Ravens by 8.
I got 8.5 for the Ravens here. Raven.
I think you get it.
Wow.
I think it's 9.5. Oh, it opened at 8 and it went to 8.5. You nailed it. 8.5 is not an easy one to nail. That is a weird line, and you nailed it. So what do you think?
I think the Raiders are a fucking good team, a fucking good quarterback, and a fucking good head coach.
Who?
the Ravens.
Well, maybe I misheard you.
I may have said Raiders, or I may have mushed the two because I'm
Gardner
old.
Minshew.
Yeah, and I do like Gardner Minshew, but I don't know. The Ravens are good, man, and they lost in week 1, and I feel this team feels too good to have a 2-game losing streak. Like at any point in the season, I would be shocked, right? Like I don't think they're not going to go perfect, right? But they're at home against an inferior opponent, and again, Lamar Jackson is terrific. He's dynamic, and he can throw the ball, he can run, and just. I think the Ravens can put up 40 points against the Raiders. So again, and I probably would have gone higher if this was later in the season. This is just 8.5. Felt like the right call, better than a touchdown, but not too crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a tough spot for the Raiders. Already 0-1, and now you have to go play the Ravens, who just lost.
Yeah, with a placeholder quarterback. Like again, this Gardner Minshew's not their like projected starter in 5 years. Right? Probably not even next year. So it's like this team's in a holding pattern, and the Ravens are they're trying to win a Super Bowl every year, trying to win a Super Bowl, and that's not where the Raiders are at right now. So
yeah, the only case I can make for the Raiders, like covering this, is everyone is probably going to think what we're thinking. Like,
yeah,
I mean, the Ravens,
they get COVID or something.
Expect them to bounce back.
Yeah.
So
they were competitive in that game. I mean, it's not like they got their doors blown off.
Oh no, yeah, and. One thing that was a little weird, Lamar Jackson missed the first practice this week, and they wouldn't really say right away whether it was injury related or personal related. They thought it was probably some sort of personal thing, minor, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's something to look at or not. So I don't know. Like, maybe too many people are overconfident in the Ravens. I mean, that's the case for the Raiders anyway. And the Raiders are, they're 0-1. They need a win. We'll see. But you also have the Raiders going cross country. I mean, that's got to be a long flight.
Yeah, so that always factors in. If you listen to the people who look at like the schedule management, the strength schedule, and the travel, like the cross country flight, East Coast to West Coast, or vice versa, always has an impact. Always has an impact on performance. So they say.
It's a lot. It's a lot of points. I don't have an opinion on that. I do really trust the Ravens to win that game, but maybe that's to a fault. Let's go. We got 5 left.
Yeah.
Rams at the Cardinals, and I have the Rams by 1.5.
I have them given 3.5.
Okay. I think maybe I'm closer, but Los Rams. Whoa. So I really thought this line jumped from one side to the other, but according to this,
Cardinals are
it opened Cardinals by 1, and it is Cardinals 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had Rams favorite.
I did. Right? Yes, I did. Okay. No way I would have picked the Cards in this spot.
Cardinals by 1.5. So I get that one.
You do.
Okay. So with these low lines like this, I don't know. Like, yeah, you see teams win by 1 either way, but whether this is Rams slightly favored or Cards slightly favored, it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
I am surprised the Cardinals are favored.
Yeah.
I honestly think a lot of it, well, Puka's out for, I think he went on injured reserve. He's out for at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was not good.
The Rams offensive line is very banged up, and we've seen, even though they managed it well against the Lions, we've seen, was it last year or 2 years ago, their offensive line, same thing, they had some injuries, and Stafford was just getting obliterated, and like he couldn't do anything. I think that's a lot of the reason why this is Cardinals barely favored. Yeah. I could be wrong.
I don't like this line. I just give me the Rams all the way here. I just don't like the Cardinals. I think I like Kyler Murray, but I don't think that team understands football. and more importantly, how to utilize a quarterback as idiosyncratic as Kyler Murray is, and as somebody who's not a prototypical quarterback. Even in the age of like running quarterbacks, he's something else, right? And given his size, and his just how mercurial he is on the field, I just don't like the Cardinals here. And I thought the Rams played a really good game against a really good team on the road last week. So to me, this just doesn't make any sense, this line at all. Like,
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't have an opinion one way or the other. Like both teams played against probably playoff caliber teams on the road last week, and
Yeah.
and both of them were in the game. Could have won the game.
Yeah.
I keep saying this, but it's week 2. Like, which team is gonna kind of continue to play decent or play better in week 2? I really could not tell you. I mean, this would be a really good game to watch. I think it would be.
Palmer is always fun to watch, man.
An interesting game. Just don't have an opinion.
Rams, three stars here. I'll take the Rams all the way.
Whoa, you're getting into the star business.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be left behind. You know what I mean? Right. And I just feel strongly about this, so I'm happy to be wrong next week, because I probably will be. But this just feels like the Rams all the way.
All right. We got 4 left. Bengals at the Chiefs.
Speaking of being wrong.
All right, I said Chiefs 5.5.
I went Chiefs 8.5.
All right, it opened at 6 and it is 5.5. All right, now I'm cooking. I'm already mathematically eliminated, but that's not going to hurt my spirit. Okay, Chiefs 5.5. Okay, the Bengals look bad at home against the Patriots. I don't think anyone's expecting that to linger too long. If anything, they're going to be, they'll be hungry week 2, right? It's like, what happened? Okay, let's fix some stuff.
Yeah.
Chiefs beat the Ravens week 1. I don't know that they're going to be sluggish. I mean, it's possible they're a little sluggish, but when Joe Burrow's coming to town and you know what the Bengals have done, like, didn't the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? So
they did. Like they're the only team to beat Mahomes in the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl against the Rams. They lost, but they're the only team who's proven it. Burrow's the only quarterback who's proven it. I just think I went high though because of how they looked last week. Otherwise, I think I would have been a lot closer to this. I don't think I would have picked them to win on the road. But although they probably had to beat the Chiefs on the road that season, I would think. To get to the Super Bowl. I do like the Bengals. I like Burrow, but just again, something was off last week, and that's why I went high here.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like Bengals coming off a loss, I think a lot of people expect them to be competitive here, even if it is at Arrowhead. I think that it's just going to be a close game. I think the Bengals could win this game, although that's a tough thing to do, to go into Arrowhead and win. But based on last week and kind of, you don't want to start 0-2. Like, I think you're going to get a really competitive game. Now, I don't know. It's also possible that the Bengals just aren't that good from top to bottom. Like, they lost to the Patriots last week. Maybe they just aren't that good. I'm just more in the camp of, I think they're going to bounce back and play a tight game. I think the luck factor wasn't on their side with the, touchdown getting called back and the fumble at the half-yard line or whatever it was. So I do like the Bengals here. I'm going to tell you this later, but I'm going to go 2 stars on the Bengals to cover.
But not to win, just to cover?
Well, I don't know. Like, can't expect them to go win the game, but I think you can expect them to keep it close. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they win.
Okay.
I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 3 left. Steelers at the Broncos. This was supposed to be the Russell back in Denver game, and it's going to be the Russell's calf hurts, Justin Fields in Denver game. I went Steelers 2.5.
Steelers 3, even 3.
All right. I'll see what happened here. I think you're closer. It opened at
2.5 across the board.
Nailed it. So Josh wins the week because he's up 7-4 and there's only 2 left. But I got that one. Josh was very close. Okay. Justin Fields on the road in Denver. Against a rookie quarterback. The Steelers won on the road last week. I think they're just going to be the better team this year. They're going to be better than the Broncos. rookie quarterback against a good defense, a really good defense in the Steelers. You just can't trust that.
Mhm.
Not that the Steelers are super dynamic on offense or anything like that. It just feels fair. Like
Mhm.
Steelers should win this game, but they shouldn't win it by a lot.
Mhm.
So just a tick under a field goal. That's kind of my rationale on that. I do like the Steelers here.
Mhm.
You saw the Broncos struggle in
Mhm.
Seattle against a good defensive team, or what's probably going to be a good defensive team, and they are at home, but I think they're going to struggle again against. I mean, if Kirk Cousins struggles against the Steelers, Bo Nix probably is going to struggle against the Steelers. So I don't think the Steelers are going to do a lot on offense again. I just think they're going to do enough to beat a rookie quarterback.
Now, I don't have anything else to add on it. That's me. I take the Steelers. You put a 1 star here for me. I like the Steelers here. I like the Steelers to win on the road. I just Tomlin's defense is always going to be excellent. And again, everything you said, rookie quarterback. I don't care that it's on the road. I like the Steelers here as well. If Justin Fields doesn't make any mistakes, this is the Steelers game.
All right, there you have it. 2 left. We got the Bears at the Texans. I went Texans 6.5.
I went Texans 7.5. You got it.
I know we're both close.
6.
Open at 7, went down to 6. All right, I get that one. We're both very close. It's around a touchdown.
Mhm.
Okay, so the Bears won last week, but they didn't look good, obviously, on offense. I don't think Williams.
Good.
I don't think he threw for 100 yards.
No, it's like 94 yards.
Yeah, and now it's not getting any easier. You go on the road, and the Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave up 20 plus points to the Colts, but I don't know, like D'Amico Ryans and the defense, like with a rookie quarterback, I think
Williams is going to be
struggle.
bad. Yeah, Williams is going to be bad again. I think he's going to make the same mistakes. There's nothing. This is not necessarily about Williams' talent and more about the Bears as an organization being absolutely and completely incapable of developing quarterback talent or offensive talent in general, unless it's a running back. They're not interested. They don't care. They don't put the time or the energy clearly into doing this. And there's nothing that tells me that the Bears are going to do anything that are going to correct the mistakes that Williams did and showed last week. The Texans are a better team. They've got a better quarterback. I mean, give me the Texans by like the Texans probably win this by 10 points, I would guess. And you can put a 2-star next to me. I like the Texans here.
All right.
I like to win by double digits.
So if you're doing Survivor, the Texans, I would tell you to take the Texans. I think the Bears defense can maybe keep this close. I just don't see a scenario where Caleb Williams goes on the road to Houston and like wins this game.
Not.
I think there would have to be a lot of like tipped ball interceptions and weird stuff happening. So I do think the Texans will win. Will they win by 6? I don't know. I could see it getting close at the end or being sort of close, but the Texans having the ball up by 4 and just running out the clock, sort of a scenario, something like that. I mean, I could see the Texans winning by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the only offense the Bears are capable of consistently generating are field goals. And you're not going to beat a Texans team on the road just with field goals. You're just not. And you're not going to win most games with just field goals. Although last week, I think there were 2 exceptions to that. So, but that's not going to cut it. And the Bears need to fucking wake up and realize that.
Yeah, I just thought of something there was something like 3 or 4 teams were down by 2 touchdowns or more and came back to win. And that's the first time that's happened in week 1 in like a long time. Yeah. So, usually if a team gets up by a couple touchdowns, they win the game. So let's just go through it real quick. So the Titans blew it. The Jags were up by 2 touchdowns, I think. I think it was 14-0.
That feels right, yeah.
And blew it.
Yeah. Sounds like the Jags.
Who else?
Well, the Lions weren't they also down?
No, they were up by 2 touchdowns and almost blew it. Who else was? Were the Packers? they were never up by 2 touchdowns.
And I don't think they were up that much. That was a back and forth game.
Colts weren't. The
Mhm.
Cardinals were up
Yeah.
14-0 or 17-3.
Yeah, they were looking. It looked really bad for the Bills early on.
So that was the third one.
Yeah.
And then maybe there was only 3. I
Yeah.
said 4. Must have been 3. But yeah, I mean that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. We got Monday Night Football's the Falcons
Bum,
at the
bum, bum,
Eagles.
Bump.
I have Eagles by 8.
I'll take that too. That's what I have too. Yeah. Let's give it
We
an 8.
both have Eagles by 8.
Yeah.
It was 6.
It's a 6.5.
And I went to 6.5.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like 8 is a better line. I'll be honest. I don't know. I didn't see a lot from the Falcons. Again, just organizational malaise in the Falcons, confusion at the quarterback position, confusion figuring out the quarterback position in the offseason, new coach on the road. I mean, give me the Eagles all day.
All right.
I'll take, I went 2 stars there from next to my name.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go opposite of that, but
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. Okay, so Eagles beat the Packers, right? People are expecting the Packers to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to say, okay, the Eagles are back.
Yeah.
They're gonna destroy a team who couldn't beat the Steelers at home, right?
Yeah.
I just think this is one of those overreaction to week 1 games where everyone just pencils in the Eagles and the Falcons keep it close. So Kirk Cousins at the Eagles. When did this happen? Oh yeah, last year. The Vikings played at the Eagles. The Eagles controlled the entire game. They were up by double digits, I think, most of the game. And the Vikings scored a meaningless touchdown late. And I think the Eagles won by like 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know, like 6.5 is a lot. It could be a lot. The Falcons obviously need to fix some things, but I think they will. And I don't know, like the Eagles are super talented on offense, very good team. I just think this is going to be one of those where people overreact to week 1. I think the Falcons will play them tough. And I don't know, like I don't know that I obviously don't trust Cousins more than Hurts down the stretch, but I think you're going to see a close game. And that's my opinion on that.
I don't know. I just like the Eagles better here. I just think they're the better team. I know that last year they just was kind of a dumpster fire, and maybe one game can't probably banish all of that, but I guess for me it did, and I just like the Eagles here.
All right, so let's just run back through what we have. So first week, Josh just kind of gave out 3 picks, I guess. He didn't really star them.
Yeah.
This week he's getting into the star game. So he has Rams minus 1.5 for 3 stars.
Yeah.
Steelers 1 star minus 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Texans minus 6 for 2 stars. And Eagles minus 6.5 for 2 stars.
Yeah.
I have the Patriots at home plus 3.5 for 3 stars. I have the Colts minus 3 on the road at the Packers for 3 stars. Mm-hmm. A lot of 3 and 2 for me this week. Bengals to keep it close plus 5.5 for 2 stars. Steelers minus 2.5 at the Broncos for 2 stars. And then the Falcons on Monday Night Football to keep it close against the Eagles plus 6.5, 3 stars. That's what we like.
Yes.
That's an hour and 10 minutes of blabbering. Go Vikings!
Go Bears!